the 31st of July 2024, right? News events. So as expected, today is going to be a very, 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 notice how many varies I've been saying, busy day in terms of trading and volatility as well. Okay, so before we move into that area, let us look what's in store for us today, the topic for today. Today I'd like to just share with you guys this particular topic. Basically the question a lot of people is talking about since Donald Trump they had been, he gave his speech at the Bitcoin 2024 cryptocurrency 2024 conference. So what does this mean? So that's what I want to share with you today. Would Bitcoin as reserve hurt US dollar, right? So US presidential candidate Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced at the Bitcoin 2024 conference that should they win, they would add Bitcoin to the country's strategic reserves. They have not yet offered specific plans that's expected, though it does not seem like the proposal will get any traction in Congress right now. Okay, so even though that's what they're saying, you still need to go through Congress because it's not something that a president can just decide just like that, right? Currently, the US government is in possession of about 200,000 Bitcoins, most of which were seized from people or organizations engaged in illegal activity. We will talk about whether Bitcoin is a threat to the US dollar or an asset that strengthens it as the world's reserve currency in today's sharing. Now, we will also look at how adding Bitcoin to the US strategic reserves might affect the currency's value in the long run as well, okay? Now, first, we discuss the threatening aspect of it, decentralization and limited supply, okay? So in periods of economic turbulence or inflationary pressures, Bitcoin's decentralized structure and limited supply may make it a desirable substitute for fiat currencies like the US dollar. This would lessen the US dollar's hegemony if Bitcoin becomes a widely accepted global medium of exchange or store of value. Now, if we look at the global reach and censorship resistance. Because Bitcoin is decentralized, it can function outside of national borders and is immune to censorship, make it a viable choice for people living in repressive or unpredictable political climates. These characteristics could deter people from using centralized currencies like the US dollar. The third part is digital gold as a hedge against the inflation of fiat currencies. Bitcoin is frequently likened to gold due to its digital form, which makes it a widely accessible and divisible. It may become a more valuable worldwide store of value, thereby undermining the standing of the US dollar. So these are the threatening aspects. What about the complementary aspects? Now, diversification and risk management. Bitcoin can be integrated into the global reserve portfolios as a complementary asset, not as a replacement for the US dollar, but as a diversifier. Its distinct characteristics, such as its low correlation with traditional financial assets like stocks and bonds, provide an alternative way for portfolio managers to hedge against systemic risks and financial uncertainties typical of traditional economies, right? This complementary role helps stabilize and spread risk, enhancing the robustness of financial strategies. And the next part is regulatory and institutional adoption. The extent to which Bitcoin complements the US dollar is significantly influenced by regulatory frameworks. So it's up to the US to decide. So supportive regulations that recognize Bitcoins as a legitimate financial asset can lead to wider institutional adoption and integration into existing financial systems. This in turn enhances Bitcoin's role as a complementary asset by providing additional options for asset allocation and risk management. Conversely, restrictive regulations could curtail its potential, limiting its ability to serve as a supplementary financial tool alongside traditional currencies like the US dollar. So impacts-wise, how does impact of introducing Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, how does it affect? Potential benefits: enhance portfolio diversification, as mentioned. By moving away from conventional assets and currencies, holding Bitcoin in strategic reserves may help nations protect themselves against inflation and currency depreciation. And when we talk about the innovation and technological leadership, adopting Bitcoin might make a nation stand out as a pioneer in financial innovation and technology adoption, drawing in capital and promoting a strong digital economy. Now, this is what the Trump is saying. Bitcoin must be made in the US, and then they want to ensure that all cryptocurrency companies, that from the US don't move out from the US, but keep that tech in US, right? What about the risk part of it? If you move into this area, so stability and volatility concerns. One major problem with Bitcoin is its price volatility. If handled carelessly using risk mitigation techniques, its inclusion in strategic reserve could cause financial instability. Security and regulation obstacles. Due to its decentralized and digital form, Bitcoin may be more vulnerable to cyber attacks and legal repercussions because of the complexity of its regulatory control and security. And how does it impact the US dollar? Short to medium term, the US dollar's position as the world's reserve currency is not expected to be seriously threatened by Bitcoin in the short to medium term. Significant resilience is provided by the dollar's well-established network effects, broad acceptability, and support from the biggest economy in the world. As mentioned before, there's 33 trillion US dollars floating out there. Is not going to be threatened easily, and it's going to take time, really, really a long time. It's not something immediate. So I totally not worried about it. In the longer term, the dominance of the dollar may wane if Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies get considerable traction on a worldwide scale as a store of value and a medium of exchange. This would probably happen gradually and be dependent on more significant adjustments to global trade norms, technology update, and regulatory framework. Now, in the longer term, I would say this is the toughest to pass, okay? This is the toughest regulatory framework. So as long as regulations are there, they could actually stop the growth and just make it what they think it should be within the frameworks of the US economy, as well as protecting the US dollar, right? So as a conclusion, to make things really, really, really simple, right over here, although introducing Bitcoin as a strategic reserve would provide benefits for hedging and diversification, it is unlikely to unseat the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Not for now. We don't see that at all, and probably won't happen. So it'll probably be something like just like the gold 2.0, but in a digital format. That's all. Okay, that's what we see from now up to the developments that we've seen so far. So hopefully everybody understand with what I've just shared today.